the $6 billion question, but do you think that the sides can come together on this? Because, we keep hearing these questions about security guarantees, but then it really comes down to, it's like you hear President Trump, he wants to do a deal. You hear these leaders, they seem like they want to do a deal. The Russians have shown their willingness. They flew all the way from Moscow to Anchorage, Alaska to talk about doing a deal. It just seems like what's in the middle are it's the blob, it's the media, it's neocons, it's the industrial complex. All of these various things are standing in the way, but it's an incredible situation where you actually have all of the world leaders fairly aligned on this. And, certainly there's questions about, is it the contact line or the oblast line and those things that can be hammered out. But it really seems as though the impediment to peace is not the leaders or the people involved here. It's as they call it, the men in dark suits.
Yes. I do think one thing that has been interesting to watch is that you have seen certain European leaders, at least rhetorically, and of course, the Zelensky regime really start to recognize that, look, we got to move away from this idea that we're going to achieve this total victory against the Russians. And I think the real turning point with that was when the United States demonstrated in early March that it was willing to shut it all off. And by all of it, I mean our aid, our intelligence, and other types of support that we were providing to Ukraine. That had demonstrated to the Europeans and the Ukrainians that, look, the United States could walk away. If we view that continuing to involve ourselves in this conflict, continuing to try and drive a peace arrangement that nobody seems to want, we will walk away. And that, I saw that firsthand, is that changed the Ukrainian tune significantly. So that was a very important move that the Trump administration did in early March. And if you remember, everybody was melting down back then. They were calling at the end of NATO and the liberal international order and all this other nonsense. But that was an important demonstration of American willingness to walk away, which creates incentives for other people to do more and to do the right thing. Now, I will say that I said specifically the European rhetoric has changed. I think we need to acknowledge that there's a lot of people in Europe, and Europe isn't a unitary entity, who want this war to continue. Again, it's not everybody in Europe, but there are a lot of people who want it to continue for a variety of reasons. Either they still cling to this delusion that Ukraine can win a total victory, or they think it's in their interest for Russia to continue to lose troops in Ukraine, or they think it's a way to keep the United States overinvested in the continent in terms of providing a security umbrella. And really, that's what I think the main European goal has been the last couple weeks, is to try and use a peace settlement, not necessarily just to end the war, but to keep the United States involved in being the primary security provider for Europe. And that's why they're trying to structure security guarantees in a certain way where they're calling it an American backstop, but what they really want is a leading role for the United States. And so, again, that's why I think the administration needs to be really careful about how these security guarantees are structured and what the actual responsibilities of the United States are, and make sure the Europeans don't buck past to us yet again.